As we get the call going underway, we start things off with Alabama A&M and head coach James Spady. They were defeated by Grambling State this past weekend, and Saturday they're set to host Jackson State at 1 p.m. Good morning, Coach Spady.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us, Coach. If you could, please, let's recap this past weekend and preview your home game against Jackson State.
Well, it was a rough weekend. It didn't turn out like we wanted it to, and we're going to take a lot of lessons from the game and try to get better going forward. Got a tough Jackson State team with a lot of tools. They've got some things going on right now that leave us wondering what we're going to face this weekend. But we're going to do our best to get prepared for them. They're coming in as military day at the university, and we want to welcome all of our soldiers from over at the Redstone Arsenal here on our campus, and hopefully we'll have a really good turnout and have an opportunity to face a team that I think is trying to find a way to get back on the winning side of things, and it's going to create a tremendous challenge for us, but it should be a great day of football here on our campus.
All right, the floor is now open for Alabama A&M head coach James Spady.
Coach Spady, good morning to you. Ty Miller from Sheridan Broadcasting.
Good morning, Ty.
Coach, you mentioned that you're not sure what you're preparing for. So have you had this experience before in terms of preparing for something that you don't know exactly what you might get?
It's very similar to a first game of the year. And, yeah, we've had that experience where, you get probably a new coordinator, a new system. I don't know what the heck's going on. It doesn't make any difference, but you got to get prepared for kind of the unknown like you would in a first game scenario. Hello?
Yes, Coach, I'm still here.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought that the line went dead. Anyway, you got to kind of get prepared as if it was a first game scenario, and that leaves quite a bit of, uncomfortability. Is that a word? It leaves you uncomfortable because you just don't know what to expect on the game. So we're going to do our best to prepare for what we think we're going to see, and we've got plenty of things that we can focus on from our game this past weekend that we can get better at, and and see if we can try to put our best foot forward.
Coach, in the past, we've heard Coach Jackson, who's the former coach at Jackson State, stress the running game and their importance in terms of trying to stop the running game. So would that be something you throw out the window here, or would it also be a focus of your, defensive strategy?
Absolutely not throwing anything out of the window. This is, it's unexpected. I would imagine, though, that anybody who is going to try to put together any kind of, formidable game plan is going to include the running game, and we're going to include a plan to stop the run, at least our attempt to stop the run. So, I don't know what their focus will be, but I know that football is it's simple. You got to run, you got to block, you got to tackle, you got to throw and catch, and so on and so forth. So we're going to get prepared for that.
Still talking things over with James Spady, head coach at Alabama A&M. But to take a look at this game, what are you looking? What is the focal point this weekend as you prepare for Jackson State? What would you like to see? What areas would you like to see improvement?
We'd like to improve our third down conversions on offense. We've done a fairly good job of taking care of the football, and so that's one of the things that you carry into every week is to take care of the football, create turnovers, try not to commit any. And I think we've done a decent job of that. We'll continue pushing that focus. We'll continue pushing the fact that we don't want to have bonehead penalties. We want to do a good job of staying away from self-inflicted wounds. Those are things we're going to focus on. But we've got to find a way to get off the field on third down on defense, and on offense, we've got to convert third downs. We were just talking it over as a staff that we went for an inordinate amount of fourth downs this week because it just felt like 3 points couldn't beat Grambling. We needed to score sevens, and so we went for an inordinate amount of fourth downs. But those are conversions also. And so what you have to do is you got to convert third and fourth down. If you go for it, you need to make sure you're converting so that we can A, keep an opportunity to score, and B, take away an opportunity for them to score. Those are things we're going to work on. And obviously I wouldn't be able to tell you specifically what to prepare for with Jackson because they're a little bit of an unknown. But I know those are things that we're going to carry week to week that we have to improve, among some other things.
Coach, defensively in the second quarters, you've been outscored by opponents 95-14. What is going on before halftime that you might be able to put your finger on?
I don't know. That's the first I wasn't armed with that information before, so I hadn't put any thought into it. But now that you mentioned that, I'll go and look that up and see what we can do to develop a plan.
Still a little time to take questions for James Spady from Alabama A&M. What you notice, you played Damian May along with D'Angelo Ballard Saturday. Was this a situation in which May gave you guys a little bit more energy, or what was the situation behind playing both quarterbacks?
No. There was a situation. You know, my personal philosophy is your number 2 quarterback is a play away from being your number 1 quarterback. So it'd be a good idea to get him quality reps so that he can be prepared in case his number is called. And that has been an ongoing strategy since I took over. We played Damian in his regularly scheduled spots, and then later in the game, Tootie took a shot. I won't comment any further about the shot, but Tootie took a shot, and he had to leave the game, and so Damian played in his place. And so, it kind of confirms my thought process on that. If that number 2 quarterback is not getting any reps or not getting prepared, you're going to have a tremendous amount of drop-off when his number is called. So I think I'm going to stick with that philosophy. I think it's a good plan, and we'll continue that going forward.
Conference recording stopped.
Coach, we're out of time. Thank you for joining us this morning, and we look forward to talking with you next week.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. That's James Spady, head coach of Alabama A&M. His team will play host to Jackson State at 1 p.m. this Saturday in Huntsville. Next up on the call.
Conference recording started.
We head to Montgomery, Alabama now and talk things over with Alabama State head coach Brian Jenkins. His team was defeated by Southern University, and they will play at Arkansas Pine Bluff this Thursday night at 6:30 on ESPNU. Good morning, Coach Jenkins. So we have Coach Jenkins on the line with us. So we're going to work to see if we can get Alabama State head coach Brian Jenkins on the line with us. Please stand by. See, while we're awaiting the arrival of Brian Jenkins, by any chance is Jay Hopson on the line with us?
Conference recording stopped.
Good morning. Do we have Brian Jenkins on with us?
Derrick knows Brian unmuted.
Let's see, do we have Brian Jenkins to join us?
Is it connecting?
Good morning. Do we have Coach Jenkins?
Yes. Hello?
Conference recording started.
Coach, only a few minutes left in your segment. If you could just recap Southern's game on Saturday and also look ahead to Arkansas Pine Bluff.
Okay. It was a hard-fought game on Saturday, and we just didn't come out on top. I don't understand that. We've been sitting on this thing since 10 o'clock. And then
Go ahead, Coach.
And, we got another tough one coming up at Pine Bluff. Their record, really doesn't show the type of team that they are. Watching film, they're very fast on defense and can really do some things on offense that if you don't cover all your gaps, they'll have a field day running the ball.
Question for Brian Jenkins at Alabama State.
What time we done at 10 o'clock? I know.
Coach, a rally toward the tail end of the game for you guys. Let's talk about that portion of the game, and does that do anything leading up to Thursday for you?
Well, I think it shows if we execute and don't have any team-inflicted wounds of, what we can do. I thought Southern was the best team in the conference that we faced thus far. Very physical team that knows how to win. I mean, Coach Odums has done a phenomenal job with that program, and they show, I think they show why they're one of the top teams. But, seeing us execute the way we did down the stretch only allowed us to see that we can play with these teams, and we're capable of putting ourselves in a position to beat these teams. And I think it just goes to show how hard, these players are working and how much belief they still have in this program and in the system. So, coming out of that game, looking at the second half, we were just, it just showed what we can do when we don't have team self-inflicted wounds.
Daniel Duhart came in, coach, and appeared to have been efficient, 12 of 14. Also got the ball in the end zone 3 times. Talk about his play Saturday night.
Well, I mean, Daniel is he's a vet. He's a senior, so he understands how to play the game. And I think he's to be commended because he kept his head in the game the whole game, not knowing if he was going to be called on or not. But nevertheless, he was prepared and ready. He came in and executed the game plan and did what we demand all our quarterbacks to do, and that's put us in a positive position and have a positive play. So, I'm not surprised because, like I said, Daniel's a vet, and he did what we expected him to do. He did a great job bringing this team back and putting us in the end zone. So, I mean, it just goes to show we got a couple quarterbacks that can lead this team at any time, and that's always a good thing to have.
And defensively, Leonard Tillery, Southern's running back, who is arguably one of the better backs in this league, to be able to hold him to 55 yards, any positives out of that?
Yeah, definitely is a positive. I mean, when you play Southern, you better be ready because they're a physical football team. Very physical, very strong, very disciplined football team, and they're going to run it right at you. I think our defense just did an exceptional job of bowing up and finding a way to get in the trenches and fight and slow that guy down. I mean, he's one of their weapons offensively, and he's a very good one. He's, like I said, he's one of the toughest running backs that we've faced thus far. I'm sure we're going to face some more, but he's the toughest, I would say, that we've faced thus far. And but our defense did a commendable job in slowing him down and not allowing him to get second effort yards. So when we face anybody, if we can play that type of defense, we give ourselves a chance. But it also goes to show when you play that well defensively and you play that well offensively, and can't have what team-inflicted wounds will do to you. We turned the ball over early, which gave Southern a 14-point swing, and we just can't do things like that. We really can't.
Conference recording stopped.
Coach, thank you very much for your time, and we look forward to talking with you after your game on next Monday.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you a lot. That's Brian Jenkins, head coach at Alabama State University. They were defeated by Southern this past Saturday. Quick turnaround as they will head to Arkansas Pine Bluff for an ESPNU Thursday night kickoff at 6:30.
Conference recording started.
Next up on the call, we talk things over with Alcorn State head football coach Jay Hopson. The Braves had a bye week, and they are set to host Grambling State on ESPN3 this coming Saturday for a 2:35 Central Time kickoff. Good morning, Coach Hopson.
Good morning.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, Coach. If you could recap the bye week and preview Grambling State coming into town.
Well, it was it's always good at times to have a bye week to get some fundamental stuff taken care of, and hopefully we did that. We know we've got an excellent football team coming in Saturday, and should be a fun game. It's always a great atmosphere with Alcorn and Grambling, so just an exciting game for both sides.
All right, the floor is now open for Jay Hopson, head coach at Alcorn State. Please remember.
Coach, good morning to you. Ty Miller from Sheridan Broadcasting.
Hey, Ty.
Quick question about John, your quarterback this year. Now, he hasn't had the same numbers he put up last year. Is it because teams are defensing him differently, or is it because he's not like an unknown, maybe like he was to some degree last year, or has your offense changed?
Well, I mean, we're pretty much in conference scoring about the same. It's just certainly John actually, we've taken him out some too early. Like last week, we didn't play him much of the second half, and in Concordia we didn't play him much of the second half. We didn't play him really. Probably Valley, we probably didn't play him. We probably played him a little bit midway through the third and took him out. So he really, other than the first two, he probably hasn't been playing as many minutes at times. But at the end of the day, he's done a good job leading our offense. And I'm not really a stat guy. I couldn't even tell you where he is. I just know he's doing a really great job of leading our offense, and that's what we need him to do. And sometimes as an offense, you just have to take what the defense gives you, and certain times they give you different things. I thought the second week, Alabama State week, he threw the ball as well as I've seen him throw. So I mean, there's certainly. I think he's had a good year so far, and most importantly, Ty, I think he's doing a good job of leading our offense.
Coach, speaking of offense, looking at Grambling State's offense, they're tops in the SWAC, and you're tops in scoring defense. Jonathan Williams, can you talk about him and your thoughts on him?
Just a multi-talented young man. He's a guy that throws the ball well, runs the ball well. Certainly, he's the catalyst for those guys, and he's done a tremendous job since Broderick's been there leading their football team, and just a very talented young man.
Coach, if there is ever a show-me game early on, and still kind of middle of the season, but would this be one of those type of games where you kind of really know what you have when you take on a team of Grambling's caliber?
Well, I mean, I think they're all tough. We know. I mean, it's a mid-season game. We try to talk to our team. Every game counts the same in SWAC, and we know Grambling's got a good football team, and it should be a great atmosphere for college football on Saturday here on the reservation. It's what football and what college football is all about, and but we're in the middle of the SWAC season, so they're all important.
And finally, Coach, during your off week, did you pay attention to details so far as limiting turnovers?
That's something that you always try to address, but it's also something that we're not going to harp on either. It's just at the end of the day, just hold it high and tight and play ball. And that's what you have to do. I mean, you can't. It is what it is. You just. Sometimes things happen. Sometimes it's carelessness. Sometimes it's just unfortunate accident. But at the end of the day, we definitely have to protect football.
Still taking questions for Jay Hopson, head coach at Alcorn State.
Well, Coach, a lot of attention is paid to Grambling's passing game. Can you talk about the rushing game with a couple of running backs, Martez, and the other guy, Justin Kelly?
Well, they definitely are a team that is going to make you. I mean, they are a multidimensional team. They're not just a throwing football team, and their running backs have made big plays not only on offense but on special teams. And that's something that we know they have some big playability in the backfield, and they do a good job. And Coach Dooley and Coach Fobbs, have always done a good job, and so certainly we have to be prepared for both. And it's going to be an attack that you can't just concentrate on the pass game or the run game. You got to deal with both.
Let's talk about preparation and a locker room and atmosphere when you have a team like Grambling coming into town. You know, I know the kids are looking forward to just that matchup, especially considering the fact that it's at home.
Well, it's you know, it's going to be a fun game. You know, it really is. I mean, there'll be a great atmosphere here on our campus, and you know, of course, they got us last year, 28-21, and it's just going to be a fun atmosphere for college football. You know, I mean, that's you know, why guys play the game, why you coach the game. It should be, I would think, close to a sold-out crowd here, and just, if not sold out, and be a lot of tailgating, a lot of fun, and you know, it's definitely going to be a fun environment on Saturday.
Do we have any more questions for Alcorn State head coach Jay Hopson? Coach, thank you very much for your time, and we look forward to talking with you next week.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Conference recording stopped.
That's Jay Hopson, head coach at Alcorn State. Again, his team had a bye week this past Saturday, and this coming Saturday, they're all set to host Grambling State on ESPN 3 for kickoff that is slated for 2:35. Next up on the call, we head to Arkansas at Pine Bluff.
Conference recording started.
And we talk things over with Monte Coleman, whose team had a bye week this previous week, and they are set to host Alabama State Thursday for a 6:30 kickoff on ESPNU. And we say good morning to Coach Monte Coleman. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Coach, thanks for joining us. If you could, let's recap this past week of preparation and talk a little bit about the Hornets coming to town on Thursday.
Well, we took advantage of this past week being an open week for us. We got a chance to practice every day. I gave them Saturday off. We came back in yesterday to start getting ready for this Thursday evening game. And we just kind of went back to basics, kind of self-evaluated ourselves, and just hopefully did some homework, not on Alabama State, but just on us. We had some spirited practices. Like I said, we did practice every day. So it was just an evaluation period. We are looking forward to this Thursday game. Alabama State played well this past weekend. And, you know, it's going to be a tough football game. So we'll be on national television, and the guys always appreciate national TV. And now the thing that we've got to do is we just got to come out and we've got to play hard against a very hot football team. They played very well against Southern in the second half. And so, you know, dual quarterbacks right now. And now the thing we've got to do is just handle our business.
All right, the floor is now open for Monte Coleman, head coach at Arkansas Pine Bluff. Coach, what's the biggest thing that stands out about Alabama State?
Well, there's several things that stand out. They're very aggressive on defense, offensively, with the two quarterbacks right now. You've got one that's very proficient in passing, and you've got another one that's very proficient in running. Good receivers, plays well, catches the ball well. Good running backs. They're very well coached. I think they proved that in this last game against Southern. Even being down from the first half, they never gave up. So there's that resilience, that team that you want your team to have. So there's a lot of positive about this team. They're very, very disciplined, and you know, it's never say die type team.
And Coach, we hear about the differences when you played Saturday and you have to play Thursday with the short week, coming off an open week. Is there any advantage to that? Is there any difference at all?
Well, I hope so. I hope this advantage is in my favor. But if you've got a veteran team, the coaches have been around and they know how to schedule certain things when they have a short week. Of course, you don't really the team doesn't get a day off until after that Thursday game. So if anything, the good thing for us, they've got to travel with the short week. So if you've got a veteran team like Coach Jenkins, he's been around. He knows how to get his team ready to go. He knows how to schedule all of his meetings and practice times. So sometimes it's good, to get that bitter taste out of your mouth right away. So I don't think the short week is going to be an added advantage for us. If it is, I welcome it, but I don't think it's going to be.
Coach, good morning to you. It's Ty Miller from Sheridan Broadcasting.
Good morning, Ty.
Coach, your offense, what did you try to pay attention to during the break that could possibly lead you to score more? Is it due to a young team and just not gelling as of yet?
It is, Ty, partially because we are a young football team. I've said this on the conference many times. We've got a quarterback that really has no SWAC hours, with exception to the games that he's played this year. Ben Anderson was an Ironman for us who played every game. Therefore, the quarterbacks that was behind him never really got a chance to play. So they've been thrusted in, even though they're very talented. They just don't have the experience right now. So that was one of the things. We just kind of calmed them down. We threw a lot of 7-on-7. We did a lot of team. We did a lot of things to concentrate on passing combinations and run combinations between the quarterback, running backs, and definitely the receivers. So this whole week was really about us. This past week, I'm saying, was really about us opposed to Alabama State or any other team that we'll play in the future. And just trying to get our guys comfortable, even though we are a young football team, getting them comfortable and making them aware of the speed of the game.
Coach, among your running backs, Hanley, Williams, and Willie, have you found any separation yet? Because right now, your quarterback is still your top rusher, and he's your go-to guy right now, but have the running backs begun to separate themselves yet?
Well, Hanley, he's our man. Brian Hanley is the one that's been carrying the mail for us. Now, we've always been a running back offense. So you'll get Willis in there on occasions. You'll get other guys in there on occasions, and Hanley, of course, will be the one that will start the game. But basically, we're gonna run by committee.
And short of winning this week against Alabama State, what are you expecting to see from your team to let you know that they've made an improvement during that off week?
Well, I want to see us play for 60 minutes. That's one of the things that we hadn't done very well in previous games. We've had some good, with exception to Alcorn, we've had some good first halves and come back out third quarter and not play very well. So one of the things we did condition with that in mind, that we can play the 60 minutes.
We have a minutes left in the segment here with Monte Coleman, head coach at Arkansas Pine Bluff. Coach, last question for you. When you strap up this Thursday night in this game against Alabama State, where are the strides that you'd like to see being made the most?
Okay.
I would love to see, like I stated just a minute ago, an entire football game starting fast and finishing a game. Definitely starting to get our run attack back in order. That's one of the things that we've prided ourselves on in past years, is having a strong run attack. With that, by running the football, opening up some passing opportunities, and then playing mistake-free defense. That's one of the things that's hurt us this year. Even in the close ball games, we've given up big plays when we absolutely don't need those big plays. So if we can cut down on some of the mental mistakes that typically young teams do, and go on and grow up right now over these next 6 ball games, but I think we'll be okay at the end of the year. But the thing, those self-inflicted wounds, they hurt. They lose ball games for you.
Conference recording stopped.
Coach, thank you very much for joining us this morning, and we look forward to talking with you on next Monday.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Coach. That's Monte Coleman, head coach at the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. Of course, his team had an open week this past Saturday, but on Thursday they're set to host Alabama State at 6:30. Game can be seen live on ESPNU. Next up on the call.
Conference recording started.
And I'll talk things over with Broderick, Fobbs, and Grambling State University, whose team is all set to play at Alcorn State for a 2:35 Central Time kickoff on ESPN3. And we say good morning to Coach Broderick Fobbs. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us, Coach. If you could, let's recap this past weekend and past week and talk a little bit about your game against Alcorn.
Well, it was a good victory. It was a hard-fought victory for our football team. I thought Coach Spady and his staff had a great plan for us and really did a really good job against us. I just thought we made a couple plays that really helped us, in the end. But I thought, our team, we kind of came out sort of flat, and I think, a lot of the things that happened had a lot to do with Alabama A&M. They did a really good job, but we're fortunate to come away with a victory.
All right, the floor is now open for Broderick Fobbs, head coach at Grambling State.
Coach, good morning to you. This is Ty Miller from Sheridan Broadcasting.
Hi, Ty.
Hi. What does Alcorn State, in your estimation, do so well that has made them successful over the past couple of years?
Well, I think they play a complete game as a team, and I think that's the whole key. Offense, helps defense. Defense helps offense, and then in the kicking game, they help both. So I think that's part of the reason why they've been so successful. They play with great speed and great discipline, and they've been fortunate to force people to make mistakes. So I think that's why they've been so successful. Plus, they have a really good coach and a good coaching staff.
Coach, you mentioned that your own team sometimes gets off to a slow start. Can that afford to be the case in this game?
Well, for us, none of our games that we can afford to do that. Our job is to focus on ourselves and try to play this game as fast and as physical and as disciplined as we possibly can. So that's what we plan to start, doing in practice this particular week, as we've done in other days, in other weeks.
Coach, I guess some would say this could be a possible SWAC championship game preview, but with both teams leading the conference, when's the last time that you two have met with the stakes being this high this early in the season?
I don't know, and I really don't focus on any of that. Our focus is focusing on putting a plan together right now, and just focusing on the hurdle that's in front of us, and that's Alcorn State. You know, we don't get into all that other stuff.
And, Coach, help me out with that, because oftentimes I hear coaches say that they don't focus on the other stuff, and maybe the players don't focus on it, but fans and media, they often follow a team in the face and fortunes of a team so far as them chasing a championship. So does it ever come into any kind of conversation with your players about that?
No, we can't allow that conversation. I mean, I mean, each opponent is tough in their own right, and all focus has to be on that particular opponent. You know, you can't look down the line or look behind you or any of that. You know, all of these coaches can coach the game, and all of these players, you know, are well coached. So, we don't put any stock in that, and we do our best to focus on the opponent on that particular week.
When it comes to the build-up of a game, then do we make too much of the fact that your team is number one in scoring and Alcorn State's number one in defense and things of those natures?
Well, for me, I think yeah. I mean, I understand you guys have a job to do, and those are things that you guys need in order to talk about. But for us coaches, it's not necessarily about that. It's about getting your team to play together and play discipline and execute. That's the whole key. I mean, you look across the scope of football, no matter the level, it's the same words being spoken. Play hard, play fast, and execute. I mean, that doesn't change, and that doesn't change for us either.
Coach, talk about the plays. You got a running back this past weekend. I know improvement on the ground is something that you guys have focused on. Talk about the play from Monte.
Well, I think, the play from Martez has a lot more to do with the guys up front. I think my offensive line coach, Reggie Nelson, is doing a tremendously great job at really getting those guys on the same page and understanding how to communicate and step in the right way and hat placement in hands and all of that stuff. That's important in order to be able to run the football. I think what Martez is fortunate enough to do, and Justin Kelly, is allow the offensive line to get them to the second level, and then once you get to the second level, then now it's time for you to use your athletic ability. So that's always been our plan, is for our kids to allow the coach to get you to a certain point, and then you show why you were recruited after that. So I think the offensive line has done a good job at doing their job, and then I also think that Kelly and Carter have done a good job at doing their job in the secondary. So I think that's why we've been fortunate on the ground.
Roughly about 4 minutes left in the segment with Broderick. Fobbs still taking your questions, head coach here at Grambling State. Coach, anything different you go over when knowing your team is going and heading into an atmosphere such as Alcorn State? I think it's their homecoming. Are you guys to tough atmospheres altogether anyway?
No, I mean we're used to playing in hostile environments. I mean when you decide to. So for us, it's not about about that. It's about just executing, and we talk all the time, even back, in August, that's what we talk about. It's not about the climate. It's not about the bells and whistles. It's not about what's around you. It's about what goes on in between those lines and how you play with your proper technique and do things the right way. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. So for us, that's our focus. If you're going into a game saying you're getting up for this opponent, then what were you doing the other weeks? You should get up every week. So with us, we just trying to get our guys to be, self-motivated and play the same way every time.
Coach, if you could name a couple of things on both sides of the ball that Alcorn does well, what stands out in particular?
Well, I think offensively, Gibbs is an exceptional player. I mean, we all know that. They run the ball extremely well, which means up front they got to be doing a great job up front. But then they also have playmakers on the outside that can do some damage also too. Defensively, I think they do a really good job of flying around and moving up front to really create issues with you if you're not technically sound and have your eyes in the right spot. So, I mean, it's a typical, Jay Hopson team, very disciplined team that plays hard and plays fast and gets after you. So, I look forward to it. I always look forward to competition and going in different environments, all of that stuff. I just look forward to playing and competing. I mean, that's just what I believe in is just competing.
Conference recording stopped.
Coach, thank you very much for your time this morning, and we'll look forward to talking with you after your game on Monday.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's head coach Broderick Fobbs of Grambling State. His team plays at Alcorn State at 2:35 Central on ESPN3 this coming Saturday. Next up on the
conference recording started.
We now head to Jackson State University, who also had a bye week, and they are set to play at Alabama A&M this coming weekend. And we say good morning for the first time to interim head coach at Jackson State. Jackson State, his name is Derrick McCall. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us, Coach. If you could, you don't mind, just give us a recap of the things you guys went over during your open week and preview playing Alabama A&M this coming Saturday.
Well, of course, what we did this past week, it was kind of a tough week for our kids, but they persevered through it, and they understand that we still have work to do, and so we just basically started last week practice off like it was camp all over again. It's a new start, a fresh start for them, and that's the mindset that we're taking into the rest of the season. And everybody's competing for new jobs, and the excitement and the competition level has picked up. And we'll start this week practice, our game week, getting ready for Alabama A&M.
All right, the floor is now open for Derrick McCall, interim head coach at Jackson State.
Hey, Coach. This is Antonio Morales from the Clarion Ledger. What was your number one priority when you were put in charge?
Well, my number one priority was to corral these kids and help them to understand that life goes on in situations like this, and of course they was upset that it happened. Coach Jackson is a very good football coach and a great man, and on top of that, he's a legend here at Jackson State, and everybody understands that. But they understand that there's a business side to this football, and they understand that. But they are ready to play football. They remain their focus. Their focus was ready after the Tuesday. We gave them that Tuesday off, and we practiced Wednesday and Thursday, and had a great practice. The feel of practice, the mood of practice changed, and we did some things differently to gain some excitement in practice, and they bought into it, and the work ethic is great.
And just what was your reaction when you heard the news about Coach Jackson, and what was your reaction when you were named interim?
Well, of course, like the kids, the reaction was stunning, but like I say, it's just something that we understand as coaches in this business. It happens, our mood was kind of slumber at the time, but we know that we had to pick it up and keep moving, and that's one thing that coach reiterated to us. We got to keep going and try to keep his dream alive in terms of what he had in store for this football team.
Talking things over with Derrick McCall from Jackson State University. Still have time. Taking his questions.
Hey, Coach, it's Antonio again. Alabama A&M said they would kind of prepare for this game like the first game. I know you said practice last week was like training camp. So does this kind of have a first game feel for you too?
Yes, it is, and that's one of the things that we wanted to reiterate with the kids is that everybody's got a clean slate. What happened in previous games, of course, we wanted to learn from it and move forward, move on and get better. And those are some of the things that we did the previous games. But just fortunate that we had a bye week coming into getting prepared for Alabama A&M. And we was able to look at some issues that we were having on defense and some concerns that we had on offense. I had an opportunity to look at those things and try to get them fixed and getting ready for this ball game.
Coach, from a personnel standpoint, what stands out when you watch Alabama A&M?
From a personnel standpoint, they're big up front, offensively and defensively, and they play well up front. And that's one of the biggest things that stands out to me by watching them play. They get to the ball quick on defense, and they move well on offense as well. So we just got to be mindful that this has always been a big ball game. Alabama A&M and Jackson State. It's an Eastern Conference game, and the kids are aware of that and looking forward to going out there to play our best game.
We have a little time to still shoot questions to Derrick McCall, interim head coach at Jackson State. About 5 minutes left in this segment. Coach, so far, how would you evaluate the play of your receiver, Dan Williams, and his relationship with Lamontez Ivy on the field, those two putting up some of the better numbers in the league?
Well, I think the chemistry goes back to high school with those two, and it always helps when the quarterback and receiver know each other as well as they do, and we have to take advantage of that, and both of those young men, they work extremely hard in their craft, and this was another week that they had the opportunity to work on some things to try to make it even better, going into this ball game. So I was pretty much pleased with the way they played in the first half, and we just going to have to continue to try to get better each week as we go along.
and Coach Antonio again. I know it's not the most ideal of circumstances, but just what do you have to say about being the coach of your alma mater?
Well, it's always great to have an opportunity to work at your alma mater. A lot comes along with that, and I don't take it lightly. I do understand the history here and the tradition here at Jackson State, and that's one of the things that we want to reiterate with our young men and let them understand the shoulders that they're standing on, and in reference to the past players that came before them. And we just want to reiterate that to our young men and let them know that you are a blue being a tiger, and to stand tall and play hard and be disciplined, and all those things comes along with being a Jacksonian is what we're trying to instill in our football players.
Do we have any more questions for Jackson State's Derrick McCall?
Conference recording stopped.
Coach McCall, thank you very much for joining us this week. We look forward to talking with you on Monday.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. That's Derrick McCall, interim head coach at Jackson State. Again, his team will face Alabama A&M in Huntsville for a kickoff that is set for 1 p.m.
Conference recording started.
Next up on the call, we talk things over with Rick Comegy and Mississippi Valley State. They were defeated by Prairie A&M this past Saturday, and they are set to host Texas Southern in Itabena at 2 p.m. Good morning, Coach Comegy.
Man, never on time.
We have Coach Comegy on the line with us.
Hello?
Good morning, Coach Comegy. How are you?
Yes, good morning. How are you?
Just fine. Thank you for joining us. If you could, let's recap Saturday and look ahead to this coming Saturday as you host Texas Southern.
Okay. Well, I think the bottom fell out this week on us. We just didn't play the type of football that I'd hoped we played coming off the last games. I thought, we'd be polished and a little bit, just a little bit sharper than we were. And, Prairie played, sound football. I think they did a fantastic job. They had some gimmick plays that kept us off balance, but yet and still they kind of just beat us up front and beat us on both sides of the line, and they took the lead and never looked back. And so, they're a good, solid football team, got good design, defense played well for them, and we just didn't play well at all. I was really surprised. I was, really came back and. Kind of disappointed in our effort and the way we played out there because, I thought we had really turned that corner with our football team after the last few games, and we took a step back, and that's all I can say on that.
All right, the floor is now open for Rick Comegy, head coach at Mississippi Valley State. Coach, is there any particular area that's giving you guys the most problems from preventing you guys from getting over the hump to seeing that improvement?
Well, we're not able to get into the game. We're not our point situation. We're not putting points on the board to be able to compete at this moment, and then not just putting points on the board. With good teams in third and long I mean, the kids play well the first and second down. We get them in really long situations, and we let them come out of it. You know, we just got to be more aggressive in what we do on third down and be able to get off the field 1, 2, 3, and we're not able to do that. I think they kept the ball something like 9 minutes in the first quarter. You know, and that's just too much. And you know, with their drives and things of that nature. So, you know, we got to improve on that third down situation. You know, we're not getting off the field. You know, we're allowing them to, you know, come up with a play that give them that first down, and then they're in their second and basic drive and continue to drive it all the way downfield. And so we got to take advantage of times like that, and we're not doing it just yet. And we worked hard this morning and talked about it, and got in here early this morning, looked at the film, and we see where some of the flaws are and what we got to do to be able to help our guys out a little bit more in order to prevent those things.
We're talking to Rick Comegy, head coach at Mississippi Valley State. But you've been a great evaluator of the quarterback position for years. What are your thoughts out of the quarterback for those that haven't seen Trey Green at Prairie View A&M?
He's a good quarterback. He does a good job. He's handles the ball well. He runs their offense very well for him. You know, they're checking off for him, you know, or sending in the right plays, and he's able to execute. And, you know, he's doing a fine job. I think he's a good quarterback. You know, a little bit better than what I thought he would. Had a real nice touch. They dropped 2 or 3 touchdowns on him. You know, and he'd have had more. You know, so you know, I think the kid is an outstanding quarterback, and he does exactly what they need done. And then the little number 3 they got, little running back, he's also, you know, he steps on. He got good quickness, and you know, gets that extra yards for him. And you know, believe me, that offensive line blocked well that day for him. They knew how to get up and do what they had to do, and you know, they're doing a good job. I was impressed when I saw them on film, and I'm impressed when I saw a game, you know. So we just got to get going a little bit better than what we are. You know, we're not blocking well up front offensively. You know, we're talking about, you know, changing up our scheme there and trying to do some things to help protect our quarterback a little bit better, you know, because the kid, young man we got can throw, but yet I don't think he's getting the time that he needs, and we're giving up too many sacks, and so we're going to have to shut the door on that.
And on your side of the ball, Darrell Moore gave you a lift. It appears at running back, rushing from that.
Yeah, Darrell Moore, you know, we had to have him back. He was hurt, and we got him back, you know, and he stuck in there, got himself healthy over the summer, and now he's in full go right now. And you know, he can hit and run. He was our leading scorer last year, and so we're going to turn the reins over to him right now, you know, as our starting back, and see if we can get some mileage on the ground. And, you know, do some of those, more of those things, because I think we're more of a block and a ground attack team than we are a pass attack team at this moment.
Still taking questions for Rick Comegy, head coach at Mississippi Valley State.
You have a picture? No, you take it for yourself.
But what do you know about Texas Southern coming into town this week?
Well, they're a good football team. They also got a good operation from an offensive and defensive standpoint of view. I think they play some people real tough, you know, and their line blocks very well. You know, they're well schooled up front. They got a good mix up in what they try to do from an attack standpoint of view, from running in their twist package and their different packages they run, and defensively, you know, they're all over the place. They got great team speed. They hustle to the football. They keep everything in front of them. You know, you don't get behind them much because they try to keep things in front of them. And so we got our job handed out for us, and it happened to be our homecoming. I'm hoping that we can do some good things in our homecoming.
Do we have any more questions for Rick Comegy, head coach at Mississippi Valley State? Coach, thank you very much for joining us, and we look forward to talking with you next week.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Conference recording stopped.
That's Rick Comegy, head coach at Mississippi Valley State. Again, his team was defeated by Prairie View A&M, and they will return home to Itabena, Mississippi, and play host to Texas Southern. And that kickoff is set for 2 p.m. this coming Saturday. Next up on the call, we will head to Texas and talk things over with Willie Simmons at Prairie View A&M.
Conference recording started.
Coach Simmons and the Panthers, of course, defeated Mississippi Valley State, and they are set to travel to Baton Rouge and face Southern University for a 4 p.m. kickoff on this Saturday. Good morning, Coach Simmons.
Hey, good morning. How you guys doing?
Just fine, Coach. Thanks for joining us. Let's talk a little bit about your victory over the Delta Devils and preview the big game with Southern on Saturday.
Yes, sir. I thought the guys came out this past Saturday and played pretty well. You know, it's our homecoming, so you always want to put on a good showing for your home crowd, and the guys responded in a positive way. The defense responded after another, the shutout the week before, and we challenged them during the week to duplicate that performance against a more formidable opponent. And I thought those guys accepted that challenge. They played extremely fast and played sound, didn't give up the big plays they had in the weeks before, and allowed us to stay in good field position all day long. And offensively, after a little bit slow start, they got things together and started to put together some good drives and made some big plays. Jonte had his first 100-yard rushing game, so good to see him, kind of hit his stride there. But I thought the guys did a good job of accepting the challenge we gave them during the week. And of course, we have another tough opponent coming in this week as we travel down to Southern for their homecoming. So we know what's at stake. They're going to be a well-coached football team. Coach Odums has done a phenomenal job there with that program. Going to the 2 straight championship games and winning one in 2013. So we know that we'll have our hands full. They have probably one of the most dynamic players in all of college football in Willie Quinn. Austin Howell's a very good quarterback, one of the top quarterbacks in our conference, and they have talent all around the field. And so we got to have a great week of practice, celebrate the win for homecoming, put it behind us, and know that we got a real tough challenge ahead of us.
All right, the floor is now open for Willie Simmons, head coach at Prairie View A&M.
Hey, Coach, it's Les East with the Advocate in Baton Rouge. People around here obviously have a lot of interest in Jonte. I know you were aware of him before you got to Prairie View. Have you learned anything working with him that you couldn't really have known about him from the outside?
It's a great question, Wes. Jonte is a guy, like you mentioned, that everyone in the conference knew about. I think if you ask anybody around the SWAC, Jonte and Willie Quinn are probably the 2 most dynamic players in this league. So they'll be on showcase against one another this Saturday. But after watching them for 3 years, I knew that he was a great talent. You could see him make plays all over the field. The thing that I was surprised or extremely impressed with when I got here was his work ethic. I mean, he works extremely hard. He's not a big talker. He doesn't really say a whole lot, but he goes to work. In my time here, I've never had to coach him on finishing a run or playing full speed. And he leads in a way that the guys respect. He's not, like I said, he's not a big talker, but when he does say something, they listen. And he's been a great leader for us. He continued to play at a high level. And like I challenge the team every week, if we can all play at the level that number 3 is playing with, I mean, we should beat everyone on our schedule. Because when you watch him play, he's playing at a different speed. Not just his speed on the field as far as him being the fastest guy out there, but how hard he plays, how he fights through the whistle, how he, tries to get extra yards on contact. I mean, he plays the game the way it's meant to be played. And so I've been extremely impressed with how he approaches the game of football.
And another interesting aspect of this game is that you have one head coach who runs his offense and one head coach who runs his defense. What's the adjustment been like for you balancing being offensive coordinator and head coach?
Well, you have to be a little more in tune with what's going on defensively. As a play caller, I try to make a lot of our adjustments between series. So when the defense is on the field, usually that's when you talk to your offensive line coach about protection schemes and run game schemes. You talk to your quarterback coach and receiver coach about what they're doing in the back end. And that's when you, as a coordinator, that's when you get that time to kind of just get everything ironed out. Well, as a head coach, of course, you have to do that a lot quicker because you do want to go and watch the game and make sure that if we need a timeout, I'm there to call a timeout. Or if I see something that the offense is trying to do, that I can go down and relay it to Coach Street, our defensive coordinator. So just having to always be at the forefront of the attention is probably the biggest adjustment. The play calling part of it, I've been doing that now for 5 years now, so that's not difficult for me. But just managing the entire game, offensively, defensively, and special teams, has been the biggest adjustment.
And just one other thing on that topic, what are the trademarks of a Dawson Odums defense?
Well, they play hard. One thing about them, they play hard. They play extremely fast. I think they play with a lot of confidence. You see them being enthusiastic and jumping around, which is the way defenses have to play. I don't think you can be successful as a defense if you don't play with a high level of enthusiasm. And so all of his teams, the 3 years I've gone against them, have all been that way. They don't quit. They've been down. They've fought back before. The only game that's ever been not a close game was the regular season game last year against them. And I know they had some guys suspended or out for that game, but every other game that we've ever played against them has been a 60-minute football game. So, but that's the trademark of his team. I think they play hard. I think they play with confidence. They play smart. They don't give up many big plays and beat themselves too often. And so, of course, we feel on our side that we have to match that level of intensity and bring that same type of passion and spirit in smart football play, in order to be competitive this weekend.
And one last thing, I know all the games are equal in the standings. Given Southern and Grambling being at the top of the West for the last couple of years, y'all came up a little short against Grambling. Is this sort of a benchmark for your program to see where y'all are at as a West Division contender?
Well, I don't know if we look at it as a benchmark. We look at it as a divisional game. It's a huge game in that standpoint, where it's a divisional game. We're one game behind those two teams in the conference standings right now. So for us to have a chance to accomplish our goal of representing the West in the SWAC championship game, this is the game that we have to win. And of course, we'll still need a little bit of help for someone to beat Grambling twice because they're on the head-to-head against us. But, those two teams were picked to finish first and second on the West for a reason. They're both well-coached football teams, very talented individuals on those football teams. And so, we know that we have to do our part in order to have a chance. We can't just show up and expect to win. I mean, we're going to have to probably play our best game up to date this Saturday because, like I said, this is a team that's well coached and they've been to 2 straight championship games. I mean, if nothing else, that shows you what type of team and that Coach Odums built down there. And so a program that he's built. So we know we have our hands full and we fully expect to go down there and have them, knock down, drag out.
Thank you.
Cool. We have a little time to take questions for Willie Simmons at Prairie View. Go right ahead.
Coach Simmons, in a conference full of playmakers at quarterback, where would you rank your quarterback, Trey Green?
Well, you're absolutely right about the first comment. I mean, this league probably more so than any time, definitely any time I've been here and any time I can remember, is loaded with talented guys. I mean, you look at, John Gibbs, who's the conference player of the year, Jonathan Williams at Grambling, who's playing lights out right now. Ivy at Jackson State throwing for over 400 yards a game. Austin Howard was freshman of the year and continued to play at a high level. So across the board, top to bottom, I mean, whoever's lucky enough to come out of this thing as the all-conference first-team quarterback is going to have to have a pretty special season. But you have about 5 guys right now who are really playing at an extremely high level, and Trey's one of those guys. But the thing about Trey, the difference is he's the only one of those 5 who's starting his first season. Those other guys are seasoned veterans. They've all started for their teams in the past. And so for Trey, he's still learning how to lead this program, still learning how to be the guy that everyone looks to make the plays. So I'm impressed with how he's playing so far, but he still can get a lot better. He understands that. He knows the challenge that he has ahead of him to lead this team the way that we need to go. But he's right in the conversation with those guys. But he's definitely going to continue to play at a high level to even continue to be in the same breath as those other four dynamic quarterbacks.
And when you have quarterbacks playing so well, teams scoring so much, is the biggest job to outscore the other team, or to limit what the other teams do?
Well, the job is to score at least one more point than they do, and that's however you get it done. I mean, I told this team when I got here. I mean, in this league, you're gonna have to win some games, 50-49. But you also got to win some games, 17-16. And so for us, it's about doing what it takes to get the job done. And defensively, every week, the goal is to keep the other team out of the end zone. Offensively, the goal is to do whatever it takes to score one more point than the other team. Special teams-wise, is to set our team up to be successful by creating great field position. So, those three maxims we try to do every week. We never put a emphasis on how many points we have to score or how many points that we don't give up. At the end of the day, a team it's three parts. Offensively, you got to do your job to score points. Defensively, you got to do your job to keep the other team out of the end zone. And special teams, you got to do your job to establish a field position battle. So, that's what we're focused on, and hopefully we can continue to play at a high level in all three phases to give ourselves a chance to be successful.
Do you have any more questions for Willie Simmons, head coach at Prairie View A&M? Coach, thanks a lot for joining us, and we look forward to talking with you on next Monday.
Thank you, guys. Have a great week.
Thank you.
Conference recording stopped.
That's Willie Simmons, head coach at Prairie View A&M, whose team defeated Mississippi Valley State last Saturday, and they are set to host Southern University this coming Saturday at 4 p.m. Speaking of Southern University,
Conference recording started.
We're now great to Baton Rouge, and we talk things over with Dawson Odums, whose team defeated Alabama State last Saturday in Montgomery, and again set to host Prairie View A&M at 4 p.m. this Saturday. Good morning, Coach Odums. Do we have Dawson Odums on the phone with us?
Conference recording stopped.
All right, we're looking to get Dawson Odums on the phone with us. And while we make that attempt, for those that join late, we will revisit the Southwestern Athletic Conference Football Players of the Week to borrow this time. Now, Austin Howard was named Offensive Player of the Week for Southern University, who accounted for 6 touchdowns, 2 of those rushing, and he also tossed 4 touchdowns on the afternoon in their 45-34 victory over Alabama State. He had a career high in completions and attempts with 360 yards on the afternoon. The Defensive Player of the Week went to Prairie View A&M's Foster Brown, who finished with 8 tackles, a sack, tackle for a loss, 1 pass breakup, and a blocked PAT for Prairie View. That's Foster Brown, Defensive Player of the Week. The Newcomer of the Week went to Prairie View A&M's Stephen Guillory, who finished with 7 tackles, 1.5 tackles for a loss, a forced fumble, and 2 sacks on the afternoon. And the Specialist of the Week went to Nick Carden of Alabama A&M, who punted the ball for 6 times for a total of 262 yards. He had an average of 43.7 yards per punt and a long 51 yards. 2 of those punts landed inside of the 20-yard line. That's Alabama A&M's Nick Carden, Specialist of the Week. Okay. We're still making that attempt to reach out to Dawson Odums, head coach at Southern, and by any chance do we have Darrell Asbury on from Texas Southern?
Yes.
Okay. Coach,
Conference recording started.
Thank you very much for joining us, Coach Asbury. We will move ahead, and if you could recap your open week and preview this Saturday's game as you head to Itabena to face Mississippi Valley State.
Well, I thought the open weekend gave us, the Thursday night game helped us. We actually had 2 Saturdays off to get some guys that were very banged up. We getting those guys back healthy, from my linebacking core to my quarterback, and one of my running backs. But it gave us a chance to get back healthy. We implemented some more things that we're going to do differently in all 3 phases of the game, and gave the guys Friday and Saturday off. We worked, most of the week, about 4 days, and most of the weekend. And the kids have a very positive attitude, and the coaching staff is ready to go to work. And we just, enjoyed the open weekend. Now we're getting ready to go down to Mississippi Valley for a tough football game against them. One thing about Coach Comegy, he's going to have his team ready for homecoming. He's a great football coach. Very aggressive on film. See him do a lot of great things, and we just know the atmosphere is going to be right for homecoming for them, and we just need to do the things that it takes for us to win. Eliminate the turnovers. That's been our biggest nightmare for us.
All right, the floor is now open for Darrell Asbury, head coach at Texas Southern. Coach, as you look ahead to Saturday in terms of strides being made, what areas would you like to see that happen this weekend?
Well, our biggest nightmare has been, our turnovers. We get inside the red zone and we turn the ball over. If we can eliminate our turnovers and stop and get off the field on third downs, I think that's been our two biggest nightmares right there. So that's what we've focused on all week, just trying to eliminate the turnovers and getting off the field on third down and, putting more points on the board. So those are the things that we're working on and we're trying to get better at and getting the ball to our playmakers that can make the plays for us.
We're taking questions. Texas Southern head coach Darrell Asbury, and remember to use the command # to unmute your phones. Coach, you've seen Rick Comegy coach teams before. What are the things that typically his teams do well that will stand out for Mississippi Valley?
Well, one thing about defensively, they're going to be sound defensively. They want you to make the mistakes and beat yourselves and create the turnovers and he's gonna his defense is. Go back to Jackson and look at his defense. He's still running the same defense, but he's going to be sound in what he's doing. And you look at offensively, they have a real good couple good quarterbacks over there, and they got their running back healthy. He runs the ball well, and we just we have to just make sure that we don't beat ourselves and stop shooting ourselves in the foot. And we've been playing pretty good football, but we just can't. We have to figure out a way to get that monkey off our back.
Coach, how you doing? It's Ty Miller from Sheridan Broadcasting. Would you say the last time that you were really sound was the game you played against Arkansas Pine Bluff, and what has happened since then that you have not been able to put your finger on?
It's turnovers. I mean, you look at the Jackson State game. We turned the ball over twice in the red zone. We gave up a couple big plays. We kept everything in front. We gave a couple big plays up. We ended up losing 34-30. We go back to Alabama State. We're going matching blow for blow with them, and we get in a rhythm and get to going, and then we turn the ball over, and we'll go down and we'll score, and then they'll come back and we'll give up a big play, and it's just, with the young football team, we have to learn how to bounce back after something has happened to us. We need to learn how to bounce back and say, okay, let's keep moving now. But I'm very confident in these guys. They've had a great off week of practice. The tempo has been great. We actually scrimmaged, good versus good, and we got out of that healthy. And that was something that I wanted to see, and everybody was live. I mean, quarterbacks and all. So we got out of that healthy, and I saw a tempo back to where we were at the Pine Bluff game. And I just hope it carries on all week until we get to Mississippi Valley.
And when you take on a team like Valley, who is searching for their first win, and you have a very young team, how do you guard them against underestimating the team that on paper they should be?
Well, I don't think we're in a position to underestimate them. We've dropped two games that I feel very confident that we should have won. So right now we're hungry for a win. Our backs are against the wall, and I can promise you we're not underestimating them.
I'm not saying that you are a coach, but I'm saying in terms of how do you guard your team against making sure that they don't, when you're dealing with young 19, 18, 20-year-old men.
Well, the biggest thing is I tell our guys we're on a 2-game losing streak, so we can't afford to underestimate anyone. Right now, we need a victory as bad as Valley needs a victory. And these kids, they're watching the film. They see Valley they have some good football players on their team. And everybody that I've seen them play on film, they've been in the ball games. They just, they're just like us. They haven't finished, and we just need to finish. And I think that's our biggest thing right now here. Is making sure that we finish with 4 quarters and try not to let Valley get off to a good start on us.
Conference recording stopped.
Coach, thank you very much for your time. We look forward to talking with you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's Darrell Asbury, head coach at Texas Southern, and his team is set to travel to Edabina and face Mississippi Valley State for a kickoff that is set for 2 p.m. We will now try to reach back around.
Conference recording started.
And talk things over with Dawson Odums, head coach at Southern University, whose team again they defeated Alabama State, and they're set to host Prairie View A&M at 4 p.m. this Saturday. Good morning, Coach Odums.
Hey, good morning. Sorry about that.
All right. Thanks for joining us, Coach. If you could, let's talk a little bit about your victory in Montgomery over ASU and preview Prairie View.
Well, I'll tell you, we got off to defensively got off to a fast start. We jumped out to a 17-0 halftime lead. I thought we played very well early. Our offense had some opportunities in the first half that we didn't capitalize on. And then we come out in the second half, and it's like, a lot of young guys. We're playing a lot of young guys. So they got to understand. Allowed them to get a chance to get some momentum in the game. I'm pleased the way our offense played the second half, and really pleased the way our kicker kicked the ball. We give a couple returns where they had the short field there in the second half. We fumbled the ball and gave them the short field. And really that's what the second half was about. They didn't have to go far to really earn any of their scores. So, I think 21 out of the 35 points that they may have scored the second half came on the short field. And, we just got to play better. We had 14 penalties. That's just didn't play a complete game. And we talked about that as a team and ready to get back on task. We got We got homecoming. Got a very explosive PV football team that's coming in here that's been putting up a lot of points. It'll be a good football team. Simmons done a great job with them. You know, we at home. We like our chances, and we just think we can play a little bit better on third down, and you know, we'll get this front going. You know, our front four gotta step up. You know, we gotta do a great job against the run, which I thought we did. Saturday was a great job against the run, so we're just looking forward to playing them. A very good football team here at home.
Floor is now open for Dawson Odums, head coach at Southern University.
Hey, Coach Odums, Luke Williams from the Black College Sports page. How are you?
They doing great, thanks.
Was that Austin's best game this year?
Oh yeah, I think so far I think that's been the best numbers game, and from a management standpoint, I think that's the best he's done. He's one of the better quarterbacks in the conference, and you know, I really was looking forward to him, and I've been telling people, I think once we get to October, we'll really find out what kind of football team we have. You know, it's a tough stretch for us, but our good players got to play great, and he's one of those good players that we have on our football team. And Saturday he played great. We know he can make every throw, continue to get better with decision making and management of the game. And when he does those things, we can be really explosive offensively, and that's the good thing about it. And I would say yes, that's his best game.
And I asked this question to Coach Simmons about Trey Green. How would you, in a conference full of playmakers at quarterback right now, how would you rank how he's playing?
Oh, outstanding football. That's the thing with our conference, man. It's like no other conference. Every quarterback back there can beat you in some shape, form, or fashion. And usually they're dual threat quarterbacks that's going to put pressure on you with their arm. They go test you from a scramble standpoint. They go test you with their feet. So, mentally, man, it's tough on defenses because you got to play sideline to sideline, goal line to goal line, and then they test you with tempo. So it's definitely a test every time you go out on the field. And offensive teams know in this conference they're never out of the game. And when you got signal callers like Trey Green, they always got a chance. You know, it comes down to mistakes. And you have to force quarterbacks into mistakes, and when you can do that, you hope it frustrates them and allow more mistakes to happen. But he's as good as a signal caller at this point in time in the year as anybody else in the conference.
So you were talking about your game last week when they, Duhart led them to 3 second half or really 3 fourth quarter touchdowns. You think your team was just comfortably ahead in terms of letting them back in? How do you assess that with the way your defense opened the door for them? You said it was a short field. That's part of what was happening.
Well, yeah, they had a short field, and then they made some great play calls over there. They caught us in the screen. One of the young backers went underneath instead of over the top. That allowed to get down there. They get on the goal line. We had a call. One of the young freshmen lines up and covers the wrong guy. So it's just some mistakes that young guys make. But for us, how we played the whole game, had we done what we were supposed to as a team, I really think it should have been 24, 35, and maybe even 40 points scored in the first half. But we squandered some opportunities, and you allow teams to hang around. Now all of a sudden it's 17-7. It's a 2-score ball game. And they're at home, and once teams get momentum, you know, that's all it takes is a little momentum, a good play here and there, and then you got yourself a ball game. And what we have to do with our mindset is learn how to finish ball games and put teams away so you don't have to fight that hard down to the end when you got a chance to put them away.
Let me ask just one other question. I haven't had a chance yet to go to Alabama State's new facility. Can you talk about that stadium and how it ranks with others in the conference?
Other stadiums in our conference?
Yeah.
Oh, it's probably the best stadium in our conference. It's brand new. It's up to date. You know, it has everything that you will want in there, and I mean it's top notch. They did a great job in designing it and did a great job. I mean it's D1. I mean I really think it's one of the better stadiums that we can play in our conference.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck Saturday.
Thank you.
Hey, Coach, it's Les East over at the Advocate. Not only as a head coach in the SWAC, but as a defensive coordinator, were you less than thrilled to see Willie Simmons united with Jonte Hebert?
Well, I think it's just good football. You got a great coach. Willie's been around the game a long time. And you got good players, and that's what it's about. And but I think we got some pretty good players, and I think it ought to create an exciting game. I think this conference this week is going to be on Front Street. I think the top teams in the conference will be going head to head, and I mean I just think that's great. I think it's going to be a great atmosphere, and we're looking forward to it. We challenged our crowd. I think the last home game we had 30,000, so we need to get 31 in here, and see if we can't have it rocking and loud, and see if we can't be obnoxious and maybe rout them a little bit. But I think we like our chances at home, and we know they're going to have their football team prepared, and we're going to do the same thing, and it'll be an exciting football game.